Alright everyone, propaganda is something that I'm obviously very much interested in. It's funny to study linguistics, like term usage and propaganda through words and lies by omission and all these wonderful things that the MSM is uniquely employing recently. One of the biggest things is claiming that there's a broad disinfo campaign by Russians or the far right. But with the claim itself being a disinformation campaign by the corporate media to try to smear its competitors as a prelude to suppressing them so that they can make more money. I think it's wild that there are people that don't recognize that's what happens. Oh my God, a multinational, $100 million a year corporate newspaper might smear somebody that competes with it directly and is slowly destroying it? Oh my God, I can't possibly believe that to be the case. Just like they can't believe that a government that routinely subverts other nations and sabotages things to start wars couldn't possibly meddle with a couple of voting machines. That could never happen. Oh, the terrible imperialistic evil U.S. government, says some liberal out there. They started the Iraq War on false pretenses, killed 500,000 people. Significant. So you're saying that they can't fudge a few ballots? Of course, that makes total sense. But the legacy media, link in the description, archived of course. Always use archive.today, by the way, sending any news tips to creators or sharing articles from the MSM. That way, they're not getting their click-through. They're not showing you ads. They're not getting any money, number one. And number two, it helps de-rank them on like Alexa rankings and stuff because it's a click for a totally different website. Always use archive.today, preferentially. Wayback Machine at this point is slower and it's also less secure. This is from The Hill, and they're talking about the era of fake news has just begun. Trump has ushered in the era of fake news with like OANN, One American News Network, and Breitbart, and all these InfoWars and stuff. I'm thinking to myself, you are the fake news. Explicitly. Groups like The Hill. Not just The Hill, but all of these mainline groups, and most of the missing link media, not all of it, and to, I think, a lesser extent. The missing link media tends to be just more hyper-partisan, like a Breitbart, missing link media. They're hyper-partisan on the right. Huffington Post, they're hyper-partisan on the left, but they are semi-independent. They're corporatized. They're from basically, the missing link media basically is any media firm, usually web-only, that began after 1997, when the internet went public, started there, up until what you would call the postmodern era of social media. Let's say the early 2010s. In that gap period. That's the missing link media. I think you can further split it up for early versus late social media. Like the first half, like 97 through the birth of YouTube maybe, like a Drudge era thing, versus things that come after, but not quite modern. There's almost like 4 types of media now, and then the true independent media is newer. This is the true independent media. This is the true press. What I'm doing now is an activity of the press explicitly protected by the First Amendment, and not just by the freedom of speech, by the way. You're technically all assembled here in the modern public square at the moment as well. But it's funny, because this is basically just an attempt by The Hill to smear competitors that are growing. Yes, OANN is growing rapidly. There's a reason why they're no longer allowed, I think, to take super chats on YouTube, if I remember correctly. Breitbart, independent commentators, Tim Pool surging ahead. I've gained, since the election began, I think I gained 50,000 subscribers over that period of time when things got cooking in the middle of the year. It's a huge amount of growth. And keep in mind, you don't compete for subscribers, whether you're a mainline group or not. You're not competing for subscribers, okay? That's not a limited resource, because a person can subscribe to CNN and subscribe to me. You're not competing for views. No view is created equally. Somebody might view your material, and they spend 10 minutes on it. They watch a whole 10-minute video. Another person watches it for 30 seconds. Still a view, but it's totally different as far as enthusiasm and participation. You compete for people's time. Time is what we compete for. That's the only limited resource. Time is 24 hours in a day times the number of potential people to view your material, and your share of that time usage that they have to allocate to viewing things. In my case, you're talking, I can't even remember how many thousands of years of total content over the course of the last 12 years have been served out just on my YouTube. I would like better metrics, by the way, and this is something we need to pressure Ray Vahi on. I need better analytics for BitChute. That is one thing I'm assuming will be developed now that they're fully funded, by the way. Ray, if you see this video, fast track it, please. Do search first. That's the most important. Search and get that unofficial app, kick them into gear and get an app for Apple, because every Crapple user keeps bitching at me that they can't watch my videos, and they would, but Crapple devices don't have an app. I don't even know how apps work, to tell the truth. I mean, I think you can just make it, and then you can either have it on like the Google Store or Apple Store, or you can just have it on a website, I think. Do they allow, like, if you have a Crapple phone, are you allowed to download an app that doesn't come from Crapple? I think you can. Not 100% sure, to tell the truth. I wouldn't be surprised if everything's proprietary for that. But the best thing, smash your Crapple Cry phone and get something better. Get a Samsung or something. Anyway, the lack of self-awareness aspect of this is occasional. I think most of the time this is an active propaganda campaign. So when the Hill calls its competitors fake news, and cries and bitches and moans about them saying bad things, they claim there's election fraud, they amplify lies and extremism, you do that too on a regular basis. There's no difference. I still fondly remember when CNN reacted to the WikiLeaks dumping Podesta emails saying it's illegal for you to read these, so just let us analyze it for you. That is a bald-faced lie. The reason why they did that is that they wanted people to watch CNN more and make more money. Go to CNN.com. Here's the top 10 totally meaningless things that Podesta was talking about with Hillary Clinton. Don't read any of the other emails, folks. There's nothing in there about, the Hillary Clinton campaign directly and explicitly coordinating with us among other news groups. No. It's illegal for you to know that information. So just trust us, you dumb fucks, as Mark Zuckerberg would say in one of his more cerebral, lucid moments, decreasingly common these days. The legacy media is full of shit. The problem is, of course, if you're a CNN viewer or something, you probably believe it. But here's what I would posit. And we see this with the slow crepitating away of support for the MSM over time. And it started before truly independent modern commentary like this began anyway. We're just at it. We're definitely dumping kerosene on the fire, but the fire was lit back in 1997. With the early wave missing link media groups like Drudge, which I don't think Matt Drudge is in charge of anymore, which explains their sudden political 180. It started a long time ago. They were losing ratings years and years before social media became a thing. Certainly before it became common. YouTube wasn't even around. They were already losing ratings, except for Fox. And that's because they decided to sell out completely. Everyone else adopted their stupid methodology, and now they're all suffering for it because they don't do news and journalism anymore. It's just opinion. What happens, though, is people would rather get their opinions from someone they can actually communicate with, as opposed to some seven-figure pundit. You can talk to me. You can send me a Twitter DM. I might even answer, and I'll definitely read it. You think you're going to get that with Bill O'Reilly? Well, maybe now that he's got a shitty podcast after many years of ignominious lies, you think you're going to do that with any of these bigwig people? No, they don't give a shit. A staffer runs their Twitter. Staffer runs their YouTube account. Good luck. You send them an email. I guarantee 1 in 100 times they might even glance at it. That's the way. I mean, part of it is you get 1,000 emails, eyes gloss over at some point. But that's the thing. People prefer the engagement, and also the MSM keeps preventing people from engaging at all. You go to their own native websites for the stories, most of the time there's no comment section anymore. But there is on YouTube, there is on BitChute, there is on Odyssey. You can comment on Rumble. You can't do that on CNN.com anymore. I remember back in the good old days, back before they blocked everything out, I used to have fun trolling on there. And occasionally you get your Discuss account banned. You just get a new one because nobody gives a fuck. I used to troll WCAX's Facebook page. I think they blocked me at some point like 5 years ago. Yes, I got blocked by the only mainline news broadcaster of northern New England on Facebook that I no longer use anymore. Now I troll them on Twitter, and I don't think they've blocked me there. So I'm having fun calling out their stupid lies on a regular basis. I live and breathe the happiness of my existence when I realize that I probably have a wider circulation even when shadow banned than WCAX does. Cross-platform plus their TV show. How many people tune in at prime time on WCAX on TV? I don't know. And nowhere near as many people as watch me on a live stream, probably. If an election live stream didn't it hit 20,000 people, I highly doubt you can find 20,000 people watching WCAX live. Maybe. It depends on the day. It depends on the hour of the day as well. But then again, you look at like a Tim Pool or a Paul Joseph Watson or something, and you look at the viewership they get per day, it's far in excess of some of the major time slots on some of the major cable networks. These are individual people. And they may have people that they work with, but they are one person fundamentally. I'm only one person in a home office, not even technically a home office, with a fucking goddamn laptop and a webcam. And yet I can compete with some of the lesser CNN slots. Think about that, and then look at what the Hill is saying here about fake news. Are you saying that the majority of people choose fake news over real news? Well, maybe it's not because there's any differentiation between fake and real. It's because independent commentary is more exciting. It's more fun. It's more interactive. People like to interact with the media. People like to interact with the things that they're watching, with the things that they're hearing. They don't want to just be served swill bullshit. This isn't the boob tube generation any longer. That's about all. Peace out.